Shalom, and thank you for joining us for this week's Hebrew lesson. And as usual, we are going through the book of John in Hebrew, and today's section is chapter 20, verses 15 to 18. So let us begin. And as I do each week, we have the Nakud Vav markings and how to use them, and also the useful resources, which are very beneficial if we're practicing. And most essential, do it in Hebrew dictionary, because then we can find out the meanings of the root word. Okay, let us begin. And of course, we are in 15. Now, 15 is one of these strange sort of ways of counting, because it uses the tet, which has a value of 9, and the vav, which has a value of 6, and together it adds up to 15. So we will go through the letters now, and it is vav, yod, aleph, mem, resh, aleph, lamed, yod, hey, vav, shin, ayin, aleph, shin, hey, lamed, mem, hey, tav, veit, kaf, yod, aleph, tav, mem, yod, tav, veit, kuf, shin, and yod. Now we read it. Vayomer, and he said, Eleha, unto her. And the reason we know that is the hey at the end tells us it's feminine. Unto her. Yahushua, or Yahusha. Isha, meaning woman. Lame, meaning why. Tiv, ki, do you weep? So how do we get that? If we look down here, we've got baka. Baka. Now, as you can see in our word up there, we haven't got the hey, so the hay's dropped off. And it's a kal verb to cry, to whine, or to weep. And then we have et grammar marker me, which can mean who or whom. Te va ke she, you are seeking, because we know bakesh means to seek. And with the tav, we know it's like second person, so therefore it's you are seeking. And I've also given you bokia, which is as an adjective means weeping, crying, sobbing. Okay, now we can read that. But first, what is the normal English translation? Yeshua said to her, Woman, why are you weeping? Whom are you seeking? And so now we will read that. Vayomer Eleha Yahushua Isha Lame Tiv Ki Et Mi Te Vakeshi. And the translation. And he said unto her, Yahusha, Woman, why do you weep? Grammar marker, who you are seeking. And now we have part B of 15. And we have a vav, hey, yod, chet, shin, veit, tav, hey, vav, lamed, shin, mem, resh, hey, gimel, nun sofit, vav, tav, aleph, mem, resh, aleph, lamed, yod, vav, aleph, dalet, nun, yod, aleph, mem, sofit, aleph, tav, hey. And you noticed I've put an arrow here to just remind us that this dot is not the dot telling us whether it's shin or sin. It should be moved over slightly, not to confuse us with that. So it's the O sound, the cholon, right? The O sound. And then we have the he and she. Now, how do we know it's she? It's the feminine form of who, which means he. And she, chashavat hu, chashavat hu, thought of him. Now, if we look down here, we've got chashav. It's a kal verb to think, to assume or to presume. So she thought of him or presumed of him. Le shomer, to be keeping. And if we look down here, shamar is a kal verb to guard, to supervise, to keep. So it means its root is to keep, right? So it is to be keeping, and the reason I've got keeping, because of the cholam, which makes it like a participle, to be keeping. Ha-gan, meaning the garden. Va-tomer, and she said, again, the tav is like feminine, and she said, Elaiv, unto him, Adoni, my master. Not to be confused with the fact that he was the master, but it is literally just a term of respect. So she, and being a woman, she would speak to the man in that way. My master. Im ata, which means if you. So the translation, whom are you seeking? She assumed him to be the keeper of the garden. So she said to him, my master, if you. And so let us now read that one. V'hi chashavat hu le shomer ha-gan va-tomer elaiv Adoni im ata. And of course the translation. And she thought of him to be keeping the garden. And she said to him, my master, if you. And we have part C now. We have nun, sin, aleph tav, vav, mem zayin, hey, gimel yod dalet hey, nun aleph, lamed yod aleph, yod fei hey, nun chet tav vav, vav lamed kuf chet, tav yod vav, mem shin mem safit. And we read it. Nasata. You have carried. So from the previous, if you have carried. Oto, him. Mize, from this, literally. Ha gida, tell, and then na is please, or it could be now. But to be polite, it's probably please. Tell, please. Li, to me. Efo, which means where. Hinach, to. You have laid him. And it's a hiffield, so it's like causative. Caused to lay him. But you laid him is fine. And then we have ul kach tiv. And I shall take him. How do we get that? First we have a pronoun, ti, which is I, and the vav at the end is him. And lakach is to take. And I will take him. Mi sham, which is from there, sham being there. So if you've carried him from here, please tell me where you have laid him, and I shall take him from there. So I've given you here, nasa, it's a kal verb to bear, to carry, to lift up. And higid, which is the root there, higid is a verb to tell, to inform. And then we got hiniak, is a verb to place, to deposit, or to lay. We know that nach tends to mean to rest, so you could also to rest him as well. Right, so now we will read that without worrying about all the translation there. We just read it first. Na sata oto mize hagida na li efo hinachto ul kach tiv misham. And our translation, you have carried him from this till please to me where you laid him, and I shall take him from there. And verse 16, and it's represented with a tet and a zion. The tet has a value of 9, the zion has a value of 7, so together it equals 16. Let's go through the letters. Vav, Yod, Aleph, Mem, Resh, Aleph, Lamed, Yod, He, Vav, Shin, Ayin, Mem, Resh, Yod, Mem, Safit, Vav, Tav, Fe, Nun, Safit, Vav, Tav, Aleph, Mem, Resh, Aleph, Lamed, Yod, Vav. And now let's read it. Vayomer, and he said, Eleha, unto her, the he telling us it's feminine, Yeshua, or Yahusha, Miryam, Vatefen, and she turned. And she turned, so she turned around, Vatomer, and she said, Eliv, unto him. Now what's interesting is the root there is pana. So we have here the fe and the nun, that's like a pei and a nun. Right, just as we got here, and it means it's a cul verb to turn, but it can also mean to face. So she turned to face him, in other words, and she turned and she said to him. Right, so now we will read that. Without any aids, and it is Vayomer Eleha Yahushua Miryam Vatefen Vatomer Elev. And of course the translation, and he said unto her, Yahusha, Miryam, and she turned and she said to him. And part B, which is a resh, Bet Vav Nun Yod, Hey Vav Aleph, Mem Vav Resh Hey, Rabuni, my master. And that's an interesting word, because Ribbon is a masculine noun, means master, sovereign, or lord. Interestingly, Rabuni was a Galilean pronunciation, a title of honor and reverence applied normally to the president of the Sanhedrin, and even more respectful than rabbi. Right, so we have my master, Rabuni, who, which can be it is, and it's translated as that is, but it's literally it is, More. More means teacher. And she said to him, Rabuni, that is, teacher. And down here I've got More as a masculine noun, means teacher or instructor. But then we also have Hora, which is a verb to instruct, to point out. And that's where we also get the word Torah, which means to point out as well. Right, and so we read that. Rabuni, hu more. My master, it is, or that is, teacher. And now we come to 17. And we see it now, it's back to normal. It's a Yod value of 10 and Zion a value of 7. So we get 17. Then we go. Vav, Yod, Aleph, Mem, Resh, Aleph, Lamed, Yod, Hey, Vav, Yod, Hey, Vav, Shin, Ayin, Aleph, Lamed, Tav, Gimel, Ayin, Yod, Ved, Yod, Kaf, Yod, Ayin, Vav, Dalet, Lamed, and Aleph. And we read, Vayomer, and he said, Eleha, unto her, again the Hey is feminine, Yehoshua, or Yehusha, al not, Tigei, you do touch. Now if we look down here, the root of it is Naga. The nun is dropped off, but it's still the same word, but the nun's dropped because it's sort of telling us the feminine form. It means you do touch, right? So here we've got naga, meaning it's a kol verb to touch. It can even mean to damage or to inflict. Right, so then we have V, which is in me, because the vet is in and the yod usually means me. Ki, for, od, meaning still, lo, not. So Yeshua said to her, do not touch me, for still not. So let us read that now. Vayomer eleha Yahushua al tigei vi ki od lo. And the translation. And he said unto her, Yahusha, not you to touch in me, for still not. And now we come to part B of that one. And it is an Ayin Lamed Yod Tav Yod. Aleph Lamed Aleph Vayet Yod. Vav Lamed Kaf Yod. Nun Aleph. Aleph Lamed Aleph Chet Yod. Vav Hey Gimel Yod Dalet Yod Lamed Hey and Mem Fit. Now let's read it. Aliti, I have ascended. And that because we have a root al or Allah is a kol verb to rise, to ascend, to go up, to increase. So I have ascended. Because whenever we see al, it normally means to go up. Right? L2 Avi, my father. Ul ki, and go, and na can mean now or please, right? But in this case it probably means now. And of course the root here is halak, meaning to walk, to go. But the short form with the hay dropped off. And go now. L2 Achai, which is my brothers. With that ending, it's my brothers. The Hagidi, and tell. So the hey here doesn't tell us it's a noun. It's actually the imperative, and tell. It comes from higid, which is a verb to tell, to inform. The hey is a hifil causative verb. And then we have lahem, meaning to them. For still not I've ascended to my Father. Please go to my brothers and tell them. Right, so we will read it. Aliti el avi ul ki na el achai the ha gidi lahem. And the translation. I've ascended to my Father, and go now to my brothers and tell to them. Right. And now we come to 17c. Is a left nun yod. Ayin lamed hey. Aleph lamed aleph veyet yod. Vav aleph veyet yod kaf mem safit. Vav aleph lamed hey yod. Vav aleph lamed hey yod kaf mem safit. And now let's read it. Ani, I am. Ole. Now it comes from Allah, meaning to ascend, right? But it's a participle form. So I am ascending. L2, Avi, my father. Va'avi kem, and your father, because the kem is your, but it's plural form. The L and two, Elohai, Elohai, and to my L, again, the with the patak and the yod, it's my. The Elohai kem, and your L, again, your is plural. And tell them, I am ascending to my Father and to your Father and to my L and to your L. El, of course, means like mighty one, you know. All right, and then we read it. Ani, ole, el, avi, va'avi kem, va'el, elo, hey, va'elo, hey, kem. I am ascending to my Father and to your Father and to my El and your El. And now we come to 18, represented with the Yod value of 10, Chet value of 8, and we go through the letters. Vav, Tav, Vet, Aleph. Mem, Resh, Yod, Mem, Safit. Hey, Mem, Gimel, Dalet, Lamed, Yod, Tav. Vav, Tav, Samek, Pei, Resh, Aleph, Lamed, Hey, Tav, Lamed, Mem, Yod, Dalet, Yod, Mem, Safit. Now, just one little point here is that Lamed here should have a dot under it to give us the I followed by the Y sound. So that means lit. Right, so now let's read it. Vatavo. And she came, again because its prefix is feminine. And she came. Miryam. Ha-Magdalit. The Magdalite. Or the Magdalite, if you want to say it in English. Va-te-saper. And she, again, the tav is feminine beginning, and she recounted. So, saper means to recount. If we look down here, safar as a kol verb means to recount, to relate, to tell. And she recounted El-tu ha-talmidim, the disciples. So Miryam the Magdalene, literally in the Hebrew is Magdalit, but it's normally translated Magdalene, which is basically, she is of Magdal, came and told the disciples. So let us read. Vatavo Miryam ha-Magdalit va tesefer el ha-Talmidim. And she came, Miryam, the Magdalite, and she recounted to the disciples. And part B, we have an Aleph, a Tav, an Aleph Shin Resh, Resh Aleph Tav Hey, Aleph Tav Hey Aleph Dalet Vav Nun Safit, Vav Kaf Zion, Aleph Tav, Dalet Bet Resh Aleph Lamed Yod Hey. So we read Et, and that's a grammar marker. Ashir, that, Ra'ata, she saw. Again, the Hey is feminine at the end, so we know it is she saw. Et, grammar marker, Ha-Adon, meaning the master. Ve kazot, and like this, di bear, he spoke. Where there's no pronoun, it's he. Eleha, unto her. Told the disciples about that she had seen the master and that he had spoken this to her. Very good. Now let's read that. Et ashir ra'ata. Et ha-adon. Ve'kazot. Diber eleha. And the translation, grammar marker, that she saw, grammar marker, the master, and like this he spoke unto her. So now we've come to the end of that section and we will see what we can remember from it. First we have a tet, value of 9, and we have a vav value of 6. 9 plus 6 is 15, so we know we're in verse 15. Va yomer, and he said, Eleha, unto her, Yehoshua, Isha, woman, Lame, why? Tiv, ki, you are weeping. Et, grammar marker, me, who, or whom? Who will say? Te va ke she. Are you seeking? Or you are seeking. And he said unto her, Yehoshua, woman, why do you weep? Grammar marker, who you are seeking. The he and she, cha shavat, who she thought him or thought of him, le shomer, to be keeping, hagan, the garden, va tomer, and she said, Elev, unto him, Adoni, my master, im, if, ata, you. And she thought of him to be keeping the garden. And she said to him, my master, if you, na sa ta, which means you have carried or lifted up, oto him, mize, from this, ha gida, tell, na, now, or please, li, to me, Epho, where, hinach, to, which is you have laid him, ul, and ul kach tiv, and I shall take him misham, from there. You have carried him from this. Tell please to me where you laid him, and I shall take him from there. Right, now we have again a tet, which has a value of 9, Zion value of 7. So we know we're in verse 16. 9 and 7 is 16. Vayomer, and he said, Eleha, unto her, Yeshua, Miryam, va tefen, and she turned, or she faced him, right? She turned, va tomer, and she said, Elev, unto him. And he said unto her, Yeshua, Miryam. And she turned and she said to him, Rabboni, who it is, or that is, more teacher, which is also my master. It is, or that is, teacher. And then we have a yard, 10, Zion, 7, we're in 17. Vayomer, and he said, Eleha, unto her, Yeshua, I'll not T-Ge-E, you do touch. V, in me, Ki for, odd still, lo not. And there we have it. And he said unto her, Yeshua, not you do touch in me, for still not. Then we have Ali T, I have ascended. L2, Avi my father, Uki, and go, now. L2, Achai, which is to my brothers. V'hagidi, and tell. Lahem, to them. I've ascended to my father, and go now to my brothers and tell to them. So from the previous verse, not I've ascended, right? And then we have Ani, I am, Ole, ascending. L2, Avi, my father, Va'avi, Kem, and your father, Ve'el, and 2, Elo, hey, my El, Ve'elo, hey, Kem, and your El. I am ascending to my father and your father, and to my El, and to your El. And then we have Yod 10, Chet 8. And we have Va Ta Vo, and she came. Miryam, Ha Magdalit, from Magdala. Va to Safer, and she recounted. L2, Ha Talmidim, the disciples. And she came, Miryam, the Magdalite, and she recounted to the disciples. And part B, Et, grammar marker, ashir, which can mean that or what. Ra'ata, she saw. Et, grammar marker, ha'adon, the master. Ve'kazot, and like this, diber, he spoke. Eleha, unto her. Grammar marker that, she saw, grammar marker the master, and like this he spoke unto her. Remembering that where there was no pronoun here, the pronoun is he. And that brings us to the end of that section. And again, we like to look at the vowels, just to remind ourselves exactly what their names are and how to use them. We have cholam. Now we can see that it's got the O sound, cholam. Then we have shava, which could be silent or it could be a short E, like sh. But it's literally the individual syllables are broken up using the shava. And then we have segol, which is a short E sound. Then we have zere, which is a longer E sound. Then we have patak, short A sound. Kamat, a longer A sound. And that'll do. And then we come to the resources again and some of the letters. Now let's look at the last line. The tav is 400. The shin is 300. The resh is 200. And the kuf is 100. Just reminding us of the values of the letters. And as we saw, we used different letters. We used like the tet, which had a value of 9. Right? And then we used the letters that add up to 15. So it was 9 and 6. Right? So we see we had the vav, and then we had the zayin. Sorry, we had the zayin to give us 16. And we had the chet to give us 17. All right? 9 and 8 is 17. So we just need to recognize just those two particular ones that are a bit different counting than what we're used to, right, in the English. So the resources, remember this, they are Beit HaMashiach, very useful in your practice. And of course the dictionary, do it in Hebrew, because the New Testament, we won't find that in Hebrew when we go to Blue Letter, it's in Greek. So we need to use the dictionary. And I do pray that this lesson blesses you and you continue with it. And as we do more and more, you'll find you begin to remember things and you begin to become more fluent. And so we just want to wish you a Shavua Tov, a good week in the name of Yeshua, our Messiah. Have a blessed week. Amen.